Hello everyone, welcome back to Game Cave Dev. Gonna continue painting these key arts, little location arts. Try and get I'm trying to get these top two done tonight is the goal. So we'll see how far I get. Alrighty. I need to open up my original map too. Alright, let's just get started.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, Jerry? A little loud, but yeah. There you are.
Yeah, I haven't plugged my headphones in yet.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, just give me a second.
No problem.
I'm gonna plug these in and then I'll be right back. Gotta grab something. Is that a little better?
Oh, yeah, it's better.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's mainly something to do with the headphones. But yeah, I'll be right back. Just had to grab some water.
Cool, cool.
Let's see. I'll move this over a little bit. Yeah, I saw you were doing your environment painting, and that made me kind of think, well, since we're doing a Google Hangout, I might try doing that, and then I can see about applying some of those techniques you were talking about.
Sure.
Let's see. Gotta open up a new file. All right. Hmm. 400 DPI. How to do it? Alrighty. Let's see. Trying to think of what I want to do. What is it that you've been doing? Just like random stuff, or these actual concepts for the?
This is actual page. I'm drawing right on the page, bro. Like making the pages as we go, so you can even see
Oh,
like the
nice.
temp text. These are all the different areas. So
Oh,
it'll
that's
be
really
the
cool.
reverse side to the world map. So you get the world map when you open up the book,
Oh, nice.
and then you come in and you'll get all the little locations that are on here, so you can actually read up on them. They're not just drawings, right?
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. No, I got no time to concept. Just been in my head. Like, okay, I know it looks like this. Like the concepting phase was the world map. Like, okay, yeah, like that. Those concepts get refined here, and then I'll refine them a step further one day when I get to each region. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, every time I see how like you just crank out these concept paintings, I'm just like, man, I wish I could do that super fast.
I wish I could do it super faster.
Even faster.
Yeah, it's not. It's going by slow. You know.
Let's see. I might do some Terra concept stuff here because I got some planets I want to do the concepts for. So I'll show you some of the planets that I've done so far.
Sure, I'll switch over to you for a second. Oh, nice.
Yeah, this one right here is kind of old. A lot of these are old, but yeah, these were some of the planets. So I want to try and do some other concept stuff. See, like that's my quick digital painting of a planet, and then I'll show you one of the other environment design stuff that I did. I have this one posted on DeviantArt, but
All right.
Yeah, that was when I called it Amber, and then I was like, decided to change the name because there was another character with like, and this was at the time where the story was similar to what this other Image comic was, and it was called Amber Adams or something. And I was like, dang it, I don't want to be the same. So I changed it to Tara, and then I have been working with the story. So trying to get that refined as well. And I don't know. Um, I'm actually going to be reading John Carter of Mars sometime, try and get some inspiration from that. Because that's like the first sci fi book.
Anytime you write a story, man, I just really got to keep the arc. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I were you, beyond reading books, it's hard to get a sense of it in a novel. Is to kind of like, I could send you some stuff if you want to listen to some stuff.
Oh,
Like while
sure.
you're drawing and stuff, you can at least, it's good to listen to while you draw, and it'll get you in the right mode of frame to think about. So I spent years, before I could draw, that's all I did, So, but for me, writing was nothing without pictures. I was like, well, I'm not gonna be a novelist because I hated describing things. I'd rather just show people, which is where
Yeah,
this book kind of comes in. Like, well, that's what it looks like. But in 1994, it was like hard. It's hard now to get that idea across, let alone back in the day. But now anything's possible. Um, but yeah, I can upload something and send you some stuff to listen to.
for sure, man. I'd love that. So that way I can get some more stuff I can learn from.
Story structure, man. It's, you know, you'll dig it.
I'm going to flip that. Maybe draw some ships flying through here. I don't know. Always love the Star Fox games and how those ships were designed.
Oh, the R wings.
Yeah.
Big week of Star Wars news, huh?
Oh yeah, dude. I'm trying so hard just to not even look at it because I don't want to see it. I want to just be surprised, you know.
In terms of the movie, yeah, but in terms
Yeah.
of like the Disneyland stuff or the
Oh
Disney
yeah,
World
that
theme
that
parks, that
yeah, that stuff was cool. But I mean, I saw the poster, the new poster that they revealed.
yeah, that was exclusive to D23. I was
Yeah,
looking at that. I'm like, that's an exclusive con poster.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that was cool.
It's exciting though. I'm super excited. I really hope it's going to be really amazing. Regardless of whether it's not, I do believe it's going to probably be one of the biggest money making films for a long
I mean,
time.
well, hard to say about money, you know. I'm sure it'll break. I mean, it's gonna break 1 billion worldwide. Whether it goes
Yeah,
to two, I don't know. Who knows?
probably
I
opening night.
don't think it matters to me anymore. The whole whether something is the greatest at the box office thing doesn't really do anything for me anymore. You know what I mean? Like I don't have any money on that, so
Yeah,
I don't really. It's like, well, is there any way to monetize that idea? Like, 'cause I don't know.
yeah. Well, I'm just saying, not like being like, oh wow, it's going to make a ton of money, but I think it'll do well. I think I'm thinking JJ is gonna end up doing it justice, and it's gonna look really good.
Well, I was relieved once Kasdan was back on board. I mean, the
Is that
voice
the?
was the screenwriter. Yeah, he wrote Empire and
Yep.
Jedi, but he had a lot more influence on Empire than Jedi. That's what
Oh yeah.
people don't really understand. Like, and he wrote Raiders, So,
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for what they're gonna do. Let's see. I'm gonna push this back a little more so that way we can make it seem like it's going further. Yeah, I haven't done like a concept art painting in a while, so might be.
The trick is to make them small and timed. Like honestly, like if you really just want to like get what's in your head out, you gotta like time yourself like 15 minutes black and white, 15 minutes color. Like get out your idea. Don't worry about rendering the thing, you know? Because
Yeah.
you can really get, because I did like each one of the, like this little thumb here, that's 15 minutes, you know? Like, and I'll refine it as I go along, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But getting those initial ideas down is more important. I just think like that's my problem with like those Gnomon DVDs and stuff is they just get the, I think they give you that impression like, you know what I mean? Everything's like this perfect thing the first time you know, like in most people, it's just really not. It's like an idea of here's this scrappy. That's why I like looking at concept art from like, if you look at the concept art from like Empire Strikes Back, it's a tablecloth drawing. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
scribbly shit, you know?
Yeah, that's one thing I definitely love about concept art and have like a real high love for that. I love getting like the books and stuff. I got the concept art for Destiny and stuff for Christmas, and I got the Darksiders concept art books, and the Star Wars books are some of the best concept art books. Though the Star Wars episode 2 and 3 are my favorite concept art books personally. They had a lot of great concepts that I wish they would have used. I love Ian McCaig's stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's one person I would definitely like to meet as well.
If you ever hang around downtown San Diego during Comic Con, you probably find them schmoozing on the chicks.
Is he?
I've seen, yeah. I'm Ian McKay. You know, you find out like how little that shit matters. He's a good dude, but it's an experience I had once. I was like, yeah, that's fucking awesome. Well, you don't want them all, bro. He's like, yeah.
That's still pretty funny though.
Like, it's just a bunch of guys, a bunch of nerd dudes who like seeing me.
It's Ian McCaig. Oh my gosh. And he's like, settle down, weirdo. Now, do you do like actual flats over it, or do you just do the grays and then select it?
I don't even select, man. I just like I literally drop in the gradient maps and just paint in the base, and then once the gradient maps are in, I go over and clean it up.
Well, I mean, do you do that like on separate layers, right? Each gradient map is on a separate
Well, each
layer,
ship
right?
layer create, yeah, a gradient map will create its own. Once you make a gradient
Oh,
map, it's
okay.
its own thing. So you don't
Okay,
have to,
got it.
you know, you don't have to worry about that.
Let's see.
For me, it's a matter of being able to paint right over the roughy, so I'm not redrawing compositions or placements or making more work for myself. I want
Makes
to focus like here on like lighting. Like I'm more interested in like the light source right now, you know, than I am.
Yeah, just bear in mind right now I'm like mega tired, but I still wanted to sketch, so it's
No
fine.
big deal. No one expects anyone to be awake. Just late at night, bro. You know?
Yeah. Let's see.
But that was like the stress I had last week because I was like, I started drawing them like physically. I'm like, this is just a waste of time. And you know, it's the same thing with the world map. Like with the world map, I'm like, dude, it's not enough for print, but it's a damn good place to start. So I'm like, why redraw the? I should just be able to paint right over it. And because painting is about form and light, you know, and hue. It's not about drawing every little thing like a contour line, you know.
Yeah.
So just like, can I actually do that and like it work, you know? And part of that's just like, some point my mind had to like just go, yeah, you know, you can do it. You know, it looks enough. The phrase I'm thinking of is progress, not perfection.
That's true. for me, it's just like, I don't know. I'm constantly just trying to refine things. I guess that's why Terra's not done. I want the story to be so good, and I'm still working on writing it, and I want like the whole art thing to just be a masterpiece, honestly.
Look with that. 'Cause you know why, man? If you're one of those dudes, no matter what you do, a year later, you're like, damn, that sucks.
Yeah,
Why
I'm
couldn't I
still.
drawn it now? See, I always just wanted to get to the point where I could do everything. I just wasn't good enough to. Like that's actually the thing. Like I had no ability to like do this even a few years back. You know, like I was like, I don't know how to fucking paint. You know, like you'd think school would have taught me shit like that, but not really. Mm.
Yeah, that's one thing, Rob. Is like for me, I don't have as many like friends that I could go to and like have help me out with certain things. I've always just been the one doing all the work. I've never had anybody really help me. There was one time I actually ever worked with a colorist, and that was on the Lost Kids. I've never had anybody ever since that mainly because when I get offered the job, it's like, can you color it too? And sometimes it'll have to be like, yes, because I need the money, and
Right.
I don't want somebody else to like specifically with the job I have now. It's nice because they have it's a good and bad thing because they've had it laid back, but sometimes I feel like I I should be getting more done than I have done. And that I guess is my own
I think the way
fault.
when I was in like that position, like the way I kind of got it around my head, the thing that sort of helped transform so I can finish stuff, like figure out this like what part, at what level am I happiness? But what I try to do is go, okay, every shot in the movie isn't a Michael Bay shot. And if you have a Michael Bay shot in every shot, you end up with a Michael Bay film, right? We don't want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, you don't want just always camera moving explosion in the background, like no matter what they're doing. At the coffee shop, explosion, you know? So what I always try to do is say, okay, you know, I can pick two sequences in the book, right? Two, and usually a sequence is like at the most 3 or 4 pages. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
can pick two places to make my mark. I know beyond that, every page needs to have at least one silhouette on it, you know, and I need to take 2 pages and go, okay, that's just going to be these, you know what I mean? Like these 2 pages I don't even care about, you know, and I'll put one right in the front of the book, like not the first page, maybe the second page. So you start to like structure these levels of detail, you know what I mean, to the flow of the
yeah,
story to an extent so where you can leave with a lasting impression. Like if I'm gonna have a money shot, I want it to be the last thing you see, or right dead center, or right off center. You know what I mean? Like there's a way to structure that, and then I can say, that way I can reconcile with myself. Well, it's okay that over there isn't my best. And then what you'll find out is that people, as they read your stuff, like the shit that you probably didn't spend much time on. And then you're like, well, damn, if I
yeah. I know.
And I think that it's not that you didn't spend much time on it, it's that you thought creatively on how to solve the problem. Like storytelling is about, you know, storytelling, not about money shots, or
Yeah,
technical prowess. And I know every artist wants to make their mark. And it's a matter of balancing that. Like this for me is a way of me trying to make my mark, but in more than just being an artist. So like I want to, you know, be able to say, hey, look, dude, I can write and design and do all this shit. Um, I'm tired of like trying to convince others to go on the journey with me, to an extent. Like so, but I've had to
yeah.
learn. I've had to go back to a lot of those things that I used to, like with that thing. I had to go, okay, well, this, and that. Like with this, the goal here is no more than 2 hours per one of these.
Hmm.
Like, at some point, it's like, well, it's a small little square box. Even at 2 hours, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That's like 18. That's 36 hours to get these 2 pages done. That's crazy.
Yeah,
So, but I know that I'll end up with something that I can at least go, okay, that's cool. when I come
Well, at
home.
least you can be proud of, because that's one thing. Like, especially like at conventions and stuff, I can't stand like if I did a sketch or something that I'm not proud of, and somebody ended up with that. Happy with it, you know, it's okay, I guess. But if I'm like in the end not as super thrilled with it, I'm disappointed. And I want to make sure that if anybody gets a sketch from me, it's something that I myself would want to pay for, you know. Because I've seen plenty of sketches like from the big time artists that are like $100 sketches, and I get that because they're like, well, I don't have anything to prove, you know. So, but they're like really garbagey sketches that they did in like 2 seconds, and somebody paid like $100 or more for them, and I was just like, $100 on a sketch like that is a waste of money.
I mean, like if you look at Harry Potter, the first two books aren't the best. You know, like for me, I even skip them. Like I just listen to the
Mhm.
audiobook. I start right with three. You know, she'd written them so you don't actually have to read the first two too. So sometimes you have to have a, you know, she had a level of talent that was great enough to get going, obviously, but to make the thing, to start to make the thing that you're the most proud of, it's going to take time in. And if you're forever trying to make something perfect, bro, you're never going to get that time, you know?
Yeah.
So like if terror is something that means a lot to you, my advice would be if it's not getting done, shelve it and come back to it and work on something that you're less attached to. Like it really, if it's just going to solve like getting something like moving, that's what I do too. Like you ever do a commission, you're like, I don't really care about that character, so I'll just start with that first, you know, versus
Yeah,
like the Batman, which, you know, you're forever like imagining every Batman ever drawn when you sit down to do it.
that's so true though. Well, that ship is rendered out, I guess, a little bit better than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Cause like this is an idea I came up with, you know, 2010, you know. So
Yeah, I came up with Terra back in 2013 or 2012, I think. I had started doing sketches for her, and then I was, you know, I'm honestly glad I didn't start on the comic back then, because I feel like as an artist, I've definitely improved a lot since I had conceived the idea for it. So I'm at least happy about that part of it.
mhm.
Oh, let's see. Oh, crap. That's what I was missing. I forgot that the gray was underneath the sketch, so I was like, oh, what is happening?
Mm.
So how long have you had this idea for this project, Rob?
I came up with the idea for Game Cave as it exists in 2010. I've managed to find ways to sort of plug in other ideas I have incrementally, but the idea of it was 2010. So it came from working on Game Fan. Initially, it was going to be a mini comic inside Game Fan, so at least I could start to draw comics on some level. I could start to work in like 4 pages. And at that time, the basic story was just going to be Game Fan in the year like 4000 or something, you know, Monitor, and which was like their mascot back in the day, and
Mm-hmm.
Dave were the only Eastworm were the only ones left, and they're all like cyborgs. And there's only one chick on the planet that cares about gaming magazines anymore, and it's this chick Bombcat. And so they're make her the head of Game Cave. And I wrote all this world building stuff, but there was no story. I was just making it up, you know, just something to fill in.
Yeah.
And I didn't do it because there just wasn't any time. I gotta be honest, I kept changing pages on me and layouts, but I just never got time to do it. And so I was like, well, whatever. So then I went and wrote a bunch of other ideas down throughout the year. I had like, a bunch of other ideas I don't want to get into right now. And then I started thinking, you know, I bet you all this stuff could like fit into one thing. And that's where I left it until 2012 when I decided, well, why don't I take Game Cave and just make it into a fictional game magazine, like game magazine that has fictional characters writing it, so I don't have to hire people.
Mhm.
You know, like, because I was like, I'm tired of hiring writers who just was gonna Bacon was gonna write the game reviews, and I would just rewrite the game reviews in character, which he didn't understand at first. Because the first time I did that, he was like, "Why are you changing my words?" I'm like, "Did you not understand when I explained to you?" Like, that was the whole thing. And then he
Oh,
just never finished writing anything. Like, it was really, he'll admit this. We had a whole conversation about it. He didn't write anything, and so that really bummed me out. I didn't do shit with it, like, for a while until I was going to do this Kickstarter in 2013 with some Street Fighter tribute stuff, and Udon gave me some fucking shit for it before it even started because I was posting progress pics. And so I didn't feel like hearing about it. So I'm like, well, why don't I just, make a game magazine, and all this art I'm making is art for the game magazine. So it's not fan art, it's published fucking work. Like,
yeah.
and so I said the magazine part will just be digital because print sucks and I'll sell the prints. And it seemed everyone wanted a physical copy of the book. So once I did that, the Kickstarter took off, and I was like, all right. So then, as I was just building the game magazine portions, which is fictional characters, I thought, well, it would be cool to have some story, in between this. Like, the idea was I'll do stories in between the
Yeah.
chapters. And the problem I ran into right after that was some financial issues with the partner at the time. He sort of did some shit that I've gotten into. But we're moving on from that. And so that delayed a lot of shit. And so then I decided, well, I'm just going to make the version of Game Cave I wanted, you know. And so that's when I sat down. Finally got to sit down in April of 2014 and just sat
Yeah.
down and started writing it, you know.
Yeah. What happened with the and if you don't want to talk about it, it's fine. But I just was curious, what happened when you did your one Marvel Prince Kickstarter of
They
like
gave
the
me a DMCA, told me to take it down before it finished, and I said no problem. And um, it went back up. Well, first I responded to the DMCA with they don't own the art, which they don't. I had a lawyer work with me on this, and they never responded to it. So the Kickstarter goes back up. Then the lawyers get all pissed off and send me a thing. You better take this down before it finishes, or we're gonna sue you, basically. And I was like, okay, it'll be down before it finishes. But I'm like, I'm gonna let this shit right out so I can at least build up a fan base. And so the goal was to, end it like right before, like,
Mhm.
the final hours or some shit. And that wasn't good enough for Marvel. So Marvel, did a little internet searching, thought I might work at a few different places, and sent a bunch of emails that if you have this employee, he's in violation of no 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 no. So like my job drags me into a room, puts my Kickstarter on a wall, and fucking starts to tell me how I'm breaking the law. And I had to sit there and explain to them that if I'm breaking the law, then you are more than welcome to call the fucking sheriffs and come arrest my ass. You know what I mean? Go, let's just haul me away right now to jail and charge me with breaking a law. And they're like, well, no, it's not that. It's right. I'm not breaking a law. You're just, bothered that a licensee is coming over here and harassing you over something. I explained to them, I'm going to take it down.
Mhm.
They wanted me to do it right then and there, and I don't have to. And so it just became this like, who's got the bigger dick problem with Marvel? Like these lawyers are independent of the studio, you know. So
Yeah.
like these guys were just like, you're gonna do it, and they even told me you're gonna do it now. Like right there, I'm like, I'm not gonna do it now. I even told them it doesn't work. I even made up some shit. I'm like, it doesn't work like that. It takes a while to go through. Da, 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 da. And like, well, all right, just make sure it's out of there. I'm like, no problem. And then the interesting stuff started to happen. They said, well, by the way, you know, you can't ever draw anything outside of work that's Marvel related. I'm like, or anything related that we do. I'm like, what do you mean ever? Like, so when I go to a con and some kid wants a Wolverine commission, I can't even draw that? No, you can't. I'm like, well, why? That's a conflict of interest. I'm like, it's not in conflict of interest. It's a con sketch. Well, you can't do that. You don't own the characters. I'm like, neither do you. Neither do the people buying this. I don't think you understand how this works. Marvel doesn't own the art. Like it doesn't. If they
Yeah.
own the art, then we can do this is a whole thing, right? So it was this really weird situation where they were telling me that, well, if you get caught drawing anything, that we have a license for, you're going to lose your job. And I was like, well, I'll make it really easy on you. I just left. I packed my shit up and walked out, you know? And so I was like, you don't have to worry about me now, you know? So,
Oh man.
and by the way, it's haunted me ever since. I just had Marvel come back again and go, you know, to the last place I worked and hound them out of, you know, they're at this point, I almost have like litigation, but there's no way to win that battle until there's more than just me, put it that way. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to move on with life, you know? So, and it's really, it's just Marvel. And I'm like, well, you know, here's the thing. Don't really care, you know? Like, but it is incredibly frustrating, given not just the fan artists, but I was trying to explain. I'm like, dude, you know, we're in an industry, t-shirts, where all you guys do is steal fan art. Like, you go, you take idea. How many shirts have you seen are just like something? You
Yeah,
know what
they
I mean?
took from the internet.
That's all they do. They go on the internet, they get ideas, and they tell us to knock them off. You know, and like we try to change them, and they'll go, no, we want it just like it. You know, and you've seen this recently. Like Target got hit for a few things. You know, like the America shirt and shit like that. Like that happens all the time, dude. T-shirt industry. They discourage original ideas now. Like back in the day, we used to be able to do like say 10 years ago, you could do one shirt a day was all you were required to do, and we would have to concept ideas and really think them out and design every element. That's how I was trained. Now it's just steal everything that's on the internet. If it's in Pinterest, that means it's training. And I'm like, all you guys do is steal, and now you're accusing me of stealing. You know, they were trying to make
Mhm.
accusations like, "Oh, did you do this at work?" Like my watercolor things. I'm like, when the hell do I have fucking time to watercolor at work, guys? You know what I mean? You're not even making any sense. So, you know, like I was one of those places. You know, they they're currently selling my stuff, and so I got feedback from some of the artists like, dude, they're talking, asking about you. So I was like, okay, cool, I'll hit them up. And just recently they're like, you know, then they just use that me hitting them up as an excuse to be like, see, we got them, ha ha ha. Like I don't know, it was a weird high school like prank to get me to apply so they can then go make fun of me, dude. And I gotta tell you, Joey, I didn't have patience for that shit when I was in fucking junior high. I got no fucking patience for it now that I'm pushing 40. I'm not gonna sit in a fucking interview and be clowned at because I need a job to pay my bills, you know? And I just had to
Mhm.
go through that this last week, you know? So
This last week?
yeah, just this last week, dude. Like, and I'm like, if I talk about like on this video, no one's gonna hear it. You know, the odds of that happening are tiny. But if I post it on the Facebook, I'm never gonna hear the end of this, and this could affect future jobs. You can't complain. There's this. It's just a constant state of fear they create amongst artists to make them be afraid. Not every place is like that, but a lot of the places I work for are. You know, I just don't know how much. I don't know, man. I don't know how much more. You know, I'm hoping to find a place that isn't like that, but I've yet to work there, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I guess that's one of the best parts about being your own boss and doing your own independent thing.
And I got student loans and a car payment, bro. And Game Cave ain't paying bills, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a reality to life too, you know. So,
Yeah, that's what sucks, dude. There's just a lot of people out there that are just looking to take you down no matter what. For whatever reason, that's how they get their jollies. And
well, people like were accusing me, no one should make, like one guy was like, no one should make 20 grand off 8 drawings. I'm like, dude, my goal was 500 bucks. Like all I figured was I looked at Kickstarters, right? And there were fan tribute. There was Avengers tribute prints, Turtles tribute prints, Street Fighter, you know, Sesame Street. There's all sorts of shit. And everyone seemed to hover around the $600 to $800 range. And I'm like, that's perfect for going to con. I can raise, you know, 500-600 bucks to cover going to con. I don't have to worry about, you know, going there and not selling anything,
yeah,
which, you know, can happen and have nothing to do with the quality of your work. You know what I mean? That could just be a really crappy con.
well, that and also what happens at those cons sometimes at smaller conventions. Here's what happens: people go there and they're assuming they can take like maybe 20, 40 bucks and stretch that, and they don't think that artists and or they'll think that whatever the artist is charging, oh, that's way too expensive. And it's just like, no, I friggin' spent half my life doing this, and it's it's kind of or this is a profession, you know. I've done the work to be able to have the skills to pay the bills, I guess, you know, so to speak. And people don't realize that you
Well, a lot
put
of
your
times too, they end up spending like, $100 just to get in. So they don't, you know what I mean? Like they don't want to spend
yeah,
much there, right?
yeah,
So, or nowadays, you got everyone drawing a million prints, so you're just in competition with with everyone else. You know what I mean?
yeah,
For like the same thing, And so it's like, I'm telling you right now, if they banned fan art from cons, I wouldn't have a problem making money. I don't need the shit. I got plenty of talent, bro. I don't need that. I got tons of
hmm,
ideas I can do. That'd be great. But the reality is, you go there, everyone's selling fan art. You bring your original shit, and you're trying to actually, make a few bucks, to pay, maybe debts or that pay some of that $10,000 that you spent on, computer equipment off. Or maybe help save up for a Roth IRA because our job sure as shit ain't doing it.
hmm,
Uh, you're ass out of luck. Unless you're some really great painter, dude. You got super talent. I'm not super talented. People go, "Oh, you're a super talented guy." No, man. There's a billion people way more. I'm not. Creative. And I'm definitely willing to like share the process. But there's people out there that they'll be able to have $20,000 paintings, and I'm not one of them. So it's like I haven't found that niche yet, where I can be like, oh, but the reality is you go there with, niche shit and everyone else is selling pictures of Batman, you're fucked. Like
yeah,
you know it. You got to at least hedge a bet. So until they ban it for everyone across the board, what are you going to do?
yeah, dude. That's so stupid that Marvel has done that to you. It's like, guess what? Everybody, you know, you should have probably said this. Like, if you're gonna sue me, you got to sue everybody else
Well,
because
I did,
that's
but they don't
BS.
care. What they do, man, is that, they find a target and they stay on it. What killed me was them calling up my employment. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
that's the
going as
best,
far to
man.
make sure you lose your job is just very low, and
I got
that's
no love for Marvel, I'm not interested in ever applying for them. I'll never buy another one of their comics. At this point, I haven't seen their movies. So it's like, and I was willing to work on the properties at the t-shirt company because I have responsibilities.
mhm.
Like I can go to work and do my best job and forget about it. But then I go and it's like this big clowning session. I mean, I don't know, man. So whatever. And I don't want to keep putting. This is one of the reasons why, like, why'd you quit the podcast? I'm like, well, right now, one, there's not a lot of time. Two, I'm really afraid the podcast is just going to turn into me bitching about my fucking life. Like, like someone said the other day, "Hey, Angel, how you doing?" Thank you, Angel. Really appreciate it. So I didn't see the Q&A. Thanks, dude. But I don't like to. I'm not a negative guy, man. All I do is make jokes. I want to have a good time. I get really super excited about making things. But there are things that bring out, and I found that I have this situation where I've made people millions of dollars, and all I'm trying to do is make a living. And you know what I mean? It's like I don't know how to deal with this. I was like, well, I'd rather not have the podcast if that's all I'm gonna talk about. Like maybe after Game Cave, I'll have something else to talk about. You know?
Yeah, I think it needs to kind of be you you should probably if you do bring it on again, maybe have somebody like one of your other buddies or other artists as well, like come on every once in a while, and that way it's more of a like asking them.
Oh, I've done that, and you want to know what happens? No artist wants to talk. Joey, I mean, you'll talk, but the reality is they don't really
Yeah,
want to talk. They're afraid to. I tried that. Well, I don't want to. And what they'll say is, "Oh, everything's great. I love doing this." You're like, that's not true. Okay, so what about this? Would you have done better? Nothing. Everything went great. And I'm like, all right, how about this? In order for that to work, you got to be like Kevin Smith. You got to be someone who's so in the industry. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you're sort of beyond that. But I'm at a point where it's like, I'm not there, and the people that I know, they're still pretty. I mean, I had people that work at Dark Horse. I have friends, man. Like they work. They're far more successful than me, dude. They don't want to talk. You know, and I can't blame them because they'll probably get in trouble. You know. So I'm like, I don't
yeah.
want anyone to lose their fucking employment opportunity. Dude, who was this? If I hated you, right? If I straight up didn't like you as a person, and you applied to a job that I worked at, and they asked me about you, I'm like, if his work is dope, he's dope. I'll
Yeah.
never, ever, 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 ever on my fucking life, dude, stop someone from earning a living. Because I have lived in roach infested alleys, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I have lived in some bad places as a kid. I will never, like, if you go to work and you fuck around and you lose your job, hey, that's on you. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But I ain't never gonna be the guy to stop a person. But so if someone's afraid of coming on a podcast, I can't. You know, I can't expect like this guy at Nintendo the other day, right? Did you see
Mhm.
this? Did you see that?
Oh, I don't.
Chris,
I don't
Chris
think I did.
Pranger. Okay, so Chris Pranger is a guy that works at Nintendo or worked at Nintendo for 3 years in what they call the Treehouse. The Treehouse is the place. It's over in Red. You know, I guess now it's still Washington. I thought they moved their office to San Francisco. Let's just say Washington for the sake.
Yeah.
So that's where they do translation for American localization of games, right? Japanese
Mhm.
to English. He works there. It's a dream job. Got health benefits, the whole thing. He goes on this podcast, a nothing podcast, and just talks about what it's like to work there and the difficulties of translations and why not every game gets a translation. And he got fired,
Oh, wow.
you know? And it's like, I mean, this is a podcast that has 60 likes on Facebook, bro. You know what I mean? It's not even like, damn, dude, like, you know?
Well,
So
that's a shame.
and he's like, I let my family down, I let me down, I'm just like, damn, dude, you know, that's I never want to be responsible for I couldn't be responsible for that, so that's why I stopped because I could see people were getting antsy. And then after my own experiences, I'm like, well, look, you know, I'll take on like I had this interview a month ago and everything seemed really good, but they seem to have a problem with, the fact that I've even done Kickstarters
Oh
ever.
my gosh.
Like, well, how committed can you be to the company if you're working on things outside of work? I'm like, how am I supposed to bring new ideas into the company if I'm only chasing deadlines in the company?
Or if,
Where am I
or if
supposed to go
nobody,
test things
or if
out?
nobody's giving you the time of day when you're trying to submit to other publishers.
Well, they don't want you submitting to publishers. It's just seen as an offense. So the industry's changing in ways that, even when I first started, I hate to say it. Well, it's not like when I started. Dude, when I started, it was shit, and it's getting worse. That's basically all I could say. And there are pockets of awesomeness. You know what I mean? Perhaps
Yeah.
right now you found one of those pockets. And to that end, I say write it out as long as you can. Okay? Don't trade up because you think that's the next evolution. There's no evolutionary step in your career. Everything's a gamble, bro. Okay? There's no straight line. Whatever you
Mhm.
think there is, it's an illusion. So, if you got something going on, try and wing two things at once. One of the biggest mistakes I ever made, was quitting the day job to go work at Play. I could have done with the way how little work Dave produced, I easily could have done both. And then he could have not come through and I could have pocketed the money and that would have been his fault, not mine. You know. But I put
Yeah.
myself in an all or nothing status because the people I was listening to at the time, publishers, were telling me, "Well, you got to pay your dues, Rob." You know, and I was like, "Well, all right, I guess this is paying my dues. I'm still paying for those dues, bro." Like,
Yeah. That's one thing I guess I can't stand as well. I agree with you and when you're saying like, you know what? I see these other people working here and I didn't see them working at anywhere else, and
"Hey, there? Did you
through
hit the
their
mute button?"
new, huh? Oh, what the heck?
What were you
I don't
saying?
know why. Oh, I said I agree with the whole hearing about paying my dues thing. It's there is some truth to it in terms of certain things, but like if it's like telling somebody you need to pay your dues in order to get this job or whatever, seeing somebody else who has completely not done that either and they're getting the job that you wanted, it's just like that doesn't really apply if this person over here is able to get this job yet I'm not. So I don't want to hear about paying
I
my
pay my dues.
dues.
I've spent thousands of hours in my room missing, holidays and eating horrible food. You know what I mean? And not paying student loans and all this shit. Like I paid my dues. Learning how to actually draw enough. So the question is, at what point, what can you do? So right now, I don't know, man. I don't have all those answers. Every day is a day by day thing. You know, I'm trying to just get back to paying bills regularly. I don't let any of it discourage me. You know, that's for certain. But man, dude, it's like, you just that's this is one place I went to. They're like, I just really want to be able to contribute. I think I have a lot. You know, I'm one of those guys that doesn't mind sharing knowledge, and I like to continually learn shit and share it. I'm a guy that will, I don't like to be the quarterback. To make a football analogy, I don't watch football, but to make that analogy, it's like I'm a guy who gets you yards. You know what I mean? I'll go in there and I'll help you win. Guaranteed, dude. No one has ever been like, damn, sucks we hired that guy when it comes to me. But I've just worked at a lot of places that have gone under or were close to going under. I mean, like one of the places that I was at when I first started, now they're tremendously successful. People are like, well, why did you leave there? And I had to explain. I'm like, look, I don't want to sound like, uh, this guy is like saying, dishing dirty laundry. But since you asked, at the time, their paychecks wouldn't clear. We were getting paid weekly, so every week on Thursdays at 3:30, everyone in our department ran out the door and down the street to the bank to cash your check because the last person that got there didn't get paid that week.
Oh wow.
You know, and I was like, after a year of that, I'm like, I've never dealt with that before in my life. My father, is an entrepreneur. He owned his own security company. He never had to deal with that. His payroll cleared, so I was thinking like, okay, I got it. This is just a place you start, and I got to get out of here. And when I had the opportunity to get out, I took it. And I stayed at that place until like they started doing the same thing. So that place wasn't making. And I tried to explain to them, look, if you look at the timeline of the economy, this is what was happening to the economy. I was in the center of the storm, But they go, well, you've only been, I think on the average of anywhere I've been, it's been about a year and a half. I'm like, but that's not my choice. You know what I mean? Like, believe me, I want nothing more than to grow and help build somewhere. But I can't control the economy, man. Like, I don't know what to do about that. So it is getting to the point where you can start to age yourself out too. Take someone who's a little younger, willing to work for, $5 less, and I'm like, yeah, and they're gonna fucking just make a bunch of shit you can't sell. That's what's gonna happen. One of the things I
Yeah.
always liked about art was that, well, I was told, if you do well, you make your deadlines and you can sell, you're good to go. And I love that. When it came to graphic design, I can meet any deadline, dude, and the shit will sell. But it's becoming now, how committed are you going to be to this, and what's the absolute minimum amount of money you'll work for?
Yeah. I've gotten those kind of job offers where like people are like, oh, there's no way I could meet that page rate. I'm like, well, I'm sorry. And they're like, can you lower it? And I'm like, no, because I have to make a living. If I lower it and do that same amount of work I would be doing for somebody else and accepting a lesser pay, then I'm screwing myself.
Right.
I'd be like, that's just an outright. This is like I'm putting in the same amount of hours as I would in a big time job, or as I would doing like a bigger job. Why would I take a lesser pay to do that?
I mean, so I don't know. I don't know what to do. I am currently retraining myself. In between all of this, people are like, how come it's taking so long to drill rock city and turtles on it? Because in the middle of all this, I'm also retraining myself to do other stuff. So time has to be made for that. And I'm not one of those guys who goes, look at me, I'm doing this new stuff. And I don't like that false energy shit. Like, I show people when there's stuff ready to be shown, or I'm willing to let them. I don't go out there and go, look at me, I wrote 10,000 words a day. I wrote 4,000 words. I don't need, like, to me, that's like people that are sort of leaning on the internet for motivation, and I don't like that. To me, it's like, that's not like marathon running. That's like, I need a bunch of people cheering me, The reality is, when you're in the Army and you got to run 10 miles in the fucking morning, no one's there to cheer you. You know what I mean? You just got to fucking do it. So it's like, like, it's just how I am. But I am training myself, but it's not going to happen overnight,
Oh
so I'm
no.
just going to put the work in now. So, a year from now, hopefully, with the way my mind works, hopefully I can solve some problems,
Yeah, man. I think you will. I think
I
it's
hope
just a
so.
matter of just keep on keeping on, man.
No one's gonna solve it for you, dude. You know, and people mean well, but it's like at some point you have to like, well,
Yeah. Hey, what do you think so far? This is what I got. If you can see it.
yeah, yeah, that's cool.
So I was going through. I'm just like, all right, I think it'd be cool having him come down here on the water. I might put another ship back here. We'll see. I mean, I sketched it out there, so I guess I probably should do one.
Yeah.
Let's see. Turn off the sketch. See what that looks like. That's looking better. I might need to still add that gray tone I had back here. So.
Mm-hmm.
Oh crap! I always forget to turn the opacity brush off sometimes when I need those. When I need the hard lines.
Right.
Like this little thing up here. Opacity clicker or pressure, whatever.
Yeah, the little opacity button.
Yeah. I can see why you do these paintings, though. They are pretty fun. Like, even if you're just going really loose with it, it's still pretty fun to just throw something around and, like, hey, look at that. I created a scene.
Yeah.
And it's rendered and fun and
I
sketchy.
mean, you don't have artwork to sell, but not everything's about, you know what I mean? Like, you're not gonna sell every page that you draw. Like, that's the thing I try to tell people too. Like, dude, for all the great pages, there's a lot of pages in those artist bins. The best of the best artists got pages that can't sell.
Oh, yeah.
So don't waste your time on those pages. You know what I mean? Like, find the way to make them good enough and move on. And like these little things, like that's what these are. They're just like they're setting the world and they're moving on. The thing with digital painting, I find, is that it's hard to have unless you're super good, and there's very few people. It's hard to have a identity. They all pretty much look like,
Yeah, they look pretty similar.
There's no way around it.
Like, there's several people I know who can do stuff like Dan Levissi and oh gosh, if you saw Ross Strauss, he's been doing some painting stuff. I'm trying to think of who. Cron Prince and Art Germ. And there's one other girl.
Once you got a look, then they just start drawing like you, and then everyone has a look. So, like whatever, dude. At the end of the day, man, like I said, I'm using this for what it is. I got these pages to do, like, and I'm not trying to kill myself. I think for me, like if I could work at like I would love to just be able to work on like low poly games or user interface,
Yeah.
Like, so I'm trying to move more into that direction, I'll never stop doing this. This is the rest of my life, but yeah, man. People who just digitally draw and paint, I'm like, if you just learn to draw, you can, you know what I mean? Like you really, could help.
Yeah, I think honestly, there's a lot of people that really lean on the digital media as a crutch, like especially when it comes to okay, my opinion about this is like yes, it's useful to use 3D SketchUp and stuff and to help you meet deadlines. Yes, sure. But if you are using that like solely, it just makes your backgrounds and stuff look dead and it's not lively. It doesn't look like if it looks like everybody else's backgrounds.
Well, I certainly don't think it makes a better comic. Like if you look at the Star Wars comics, like when they do a space battle, and it's just filled wall to wall with SketchUp ships, I don't think that looks very good.
I
what I mean?
I do not like that.
And then
it's like draw it. It'll look much better.
you can't draw as much, right? I don't think it needs as much. You know what I mean? Like it really needs energy and it needs focal point. And what they do is just cram it with every ship and just turn the blasters on, and then you just got this wall of nonsense.
Yeah, it really makes it deadens the image so much to me. Like if I see people using SketchUp on certain things, it just makes it look really kind of. I mean, at least here's my preference. I would say if at least draw over it because it will look better because it'll look actually drawn. your lines over it will actually come across and have better energy than just those.
these guys are they're making like $120, $150 a page, man. So they're gonna, if they can Photoshop their way through it, they're gonna do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact of the matter is, most people in the industry, they're not breaking $200 a page. They're just not. You got those pros that are, but everyone else is making 100, 150 a page, and you do the math. I mean, that's like $10, $11 an hour, man.
Yeah.
Like, if you count about the actual hours, it's probably more like two. You know what I mean? But it's like, you're looking at like, 20 grand a year, and they don't want to hear shit about like how well they can draw, Like the guy who draws Big Trouble in Little China just did an interview about that,
He can draw really well, though. I like that guy's art.
Yeah, he's like, well, I sleep 4 hours a day. I don't ever see my family. I'm locked in a room. I make $125 a page, and I really wish, I never did this. Like, that's his thoughts. I'm like, wow, see, that's what I've been saying.
That's a shame, though. He honestly should be getting paid way more because his stuff is insane.
And all that stuff should fall under like actual marketing materials and should get Hollywood money, but they won't. So, and look, I've been offered those books. I was offered, God, which ones, man? You name it, dude. Fucking Puppet Master books, all sorts of shit like that, And you look at it, you're like, how much is it? And you're like, it's about 120 a page. You do everything. I'm like, not doing it.
You're like, yeah, psych.
This is how you'll make your. Yeah, I've heard that story before.
I don't want to hear. I don't ever want to hear it'll help you build your name or whatever. You build your own name.
Yeah.
You do. The internet is there to your advantage. If you're gonna build your own name, build your own name.
Yeah, I'm like, sure.
I can't tell you how many of those kind of job offers would come. Oh, but it'll be great exposure for you. No. Does it involve money? I mean, I'm not saying I'm like a money thing.
Great exposure is local artist gets rich. That's great exposure too.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways to get great exposure.
Local artist gets rich. Yes.
Yeah, that's if you're talking that kind of headline, I got you. But get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I'm all about that headline. Oh man, that would be just hilarious just to hear that, man.
If you think I haven't told people this, there are friends I have in the industry, but the industry is what it is. It's what it is. It's designed, to be a place where you pretty much these days you got to live in a third world country, man. Get lucky, or do two things at once is how it really works. You want to be a comic artist, you got to have a real job, and you got to do this at night, on your weekends and on your holidays. And I mean, at that point, I'm like, just make your own shit and use your own shit to get some real pro work, like that's the future. And I every time I tell people what the future is and I don't do it, like everyone else reaps the benefits. So this time, I'm just sticking through it.
You're just like, I'm gonna do it.
I'm
gonna make it. I think you will, Rob. I think this, like, because right now every time I see a new post from you, I'm just like, it's so cool because I'm like, oh, getting done, and then I look at myself, look at how much you're getting done, Joey. I'm like, Rob is a productive artist. You are a procrastinating idiot.
You're just going through the processes, bro. I'd say, you got more talent at your age than I had. I mean, that's a fact. So, give yourself props where props is due. But if you want to complete things, certain sacrifice. It's. You ever see Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood?
Yep.
So it's equivalent exchange.
Yep.
Yeah. In pages and designs, everything's equivalent exchange. You're gonna have to sacrifice something. But what's acceptable? What can I do without that leg? I don't need a leg.
Yeah.
So you got to figure out, what's.
And I don't need my whole body.
Right.
His brother, oh man.
But I've turned down. One of the things I've turned down to get this done is I've just turned down work. Turned down a lot of work. you know, and it definitely makes it difficult when you lose a job and then you need to like hit contacts up again, like, oh, now you need work. You know, you find out who your friends really. You're like, man, So,
Yeah.
you learn to deal with that kind of stuff. But there's plenty of good people out there, dude. I mean, there's more. There's not as many, but they're good people. You do good work, you'll make friends with at least one or two good people. So.
Yeah, it's honestly, the job I have now has been a huge blessing, man. The people I work with are just super awesome. My boss and my well, I kind of have like bosses. One's the guy who actually like runs the company, owner, whatever. Um, and it's been so cool, like, because I've met everybody that works for the company. Um, and I even drew like several of the people because they were doing something for like business card stuff, and I thought that was just super cool because they've all been extremely complimentary and have been super nice and patient with me. I should say that's a big thing. So they're a great group to work for. You should definitely not take that for granted.
Yeah.
But there's been several people like that I have. I've only been working. Like I've only actually ever had like, let's see, this would be my third actual like comic project job. I've only been working in as a pro ever since like 2010. So that's kind of I got my start from the Lost Kids thing, and then after that kind of went south, we had to kind of move on from that.
Right.
And then I was just like, yeah, because we weren't getting paid, and then I was again being the young naive person thinking that, oh, we'll work for books, and then that ended up being stupid, and I'm definitely glad we're past that though. But it was just kind of like, really, and like the amount of corrections we get, it just wasn't worth it anymore. Just like, all right, we're done.
Yeah, I was trying to tell me, look, it's their passion project, not mine.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not gonna sign. Likewise, I'm not gonna sign a bunch of people up for my crazy fucking quests. That's why people are like, oh, I get this all the time. I'll learn. I'll help you. And I'm like, no, you really won't, and you're really not. You're really gonna be tired of hearing from me after about. I know you think that, but no, there's no money. And you're just gonna not produce. If I don't produce what it's in my head, then that's something I fight with me. But with you, you don't. You don't need to hear this shit. Like, create your own crazy quest to deal with. Because I'm not signing people up for mine.
Just
And
like I walk alone.
really, it just gets. You just don't want to
Deal with
anger
other
people.
people.
You just want to anger people, but you want to let them down or give them a bad experience. It's like, I'll go and deal with this myself. Don't worry about it. Yeah, the first time I experienced real hate was when I first got, the full time thing. When I talked my way into making play full time. I was like, yeah, I'm staff artist and play. And I get people in DeviantArt who used to follow me who are like, how did you get that job? I'm like, all right, tell me how you really feel. I don't get it. You're not that good. I mean, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Well, apparently it doesn't really take being great. Just takes being cool. Whatever. You know.
You could say that to anybody about any job, like, because there's always going to be those kind of people who are just like very jealous, you know.
Yeah, but that was the first time I really ever experienced it. I mean, you hear about that shit, but it was the first time I got it. Um, I mean, whatever. I didn't care. It didn't hurt my day any, but I was like, oh wow, I guess that should actually exist. That's crazy. Then you get the people when they find out, your company tanked. Always the best. Some people like to see you struggle.
I don't understand those people. A lot of weirdos out there who get their jollies from seeing other people in misery.
Right.
And I don't understand that. It's like, is it something to deal with how you were brought up or something?
Inadequacies, whatever. Like I said, I'll never stop someone from earning a paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
Unless I know they're legitimately going to be like thieves. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're really going to ruin everything. I'll be like, look, you should know. I mean, but I've only experienced that with like one or two people ever. And I've never had to be in a position to recommend them or not recommend them for something. But I have had people that I just didn't get along with. What do you think about this person? I'm like, dude, they made good work. So,
They were a douche, but they got their work done.
maybe they thought I was a douche. I always accept that there's probably two sides to every story. And I get it. I mean, like while I'm thinking, I get this like angry look on my face. People are like, "You're angry." Like this old lady stopped me on my walk today. You always look just so sad. And I'm like, man, I'm thinking. Like, am I supposed to? Isn't dark, crazy people always with a smile? Like that's why the Joker grins all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Like, Batman's not angry. He's just fucking. He's got a lot on his mind. He's thinking it through. Like,
Yeah. He's
fucking
just like,
a man.
I've kind of had a rough life.
And I've seen that
Thank you
people
very much.
in art departments get. I've seen them get turned off by that. Like. Rob's hard to approach. I'm like, I'm really not. And if I used to bring up my iTunes channel. Look, all these people say I'm great to get along with. Like, I got ratings and shit. So that's not true. I'm over here working. Like I'm not over here sharing YouTube videos with everyone all day. Because I'm afraid that this job might not last. So I gotta like apply myself and shit.
Yeah. Like, I gotta get stuff done while you guys are over there.
We all got to get
Sitting.
things done, actually. Like, that's not an option. Can we get back to work so we don't have to stay late?
And stop talking about Rob behind everybody's back or behind my back.
You'd be surprised, man. For some reason, I end up the conversation. Dude, I really don't want to be the conversation.
Yeah. For me, like, what? Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, for me back, like in high school and stuff. I don't know what it is. Because it might have to have been something with being homeschooled, but like with several of my friends, like when we were doing our youth group stuff, I don't know what it is. Like, because people, well, obviously in high school, there's like the super clicky people who are just like they want to be with friends and they don't want to include anybody. But I ended up being that person where I'd be like, "Hey, everybody, how's it going?" And then I'd just be getting the cold shoulder, and that wasn't cool. And I was like, what did I do to upset these people? Or why won't any of these people want to be my friend or whatever? That didn't happen always, but it was one of the things that kind of bothered me.
Well, it was always funny. One of the comments I used to make, and they go, "Well, you're just in your own world." I'm like, so you're telling me an artist is a little like they're on their own world, a little self-absorbed. You don't. That's not that's not normal. Since when? Since when? What about like I always ask people like, what about like your childhood was about being the most popular person? Wasn't that why we're artists? Like we'd hide in a room and draw. I'm just trying to figure out like what am I doing that is so abnormal to the function of who I am. Like. I get it if I was the marketing person and I was withdrawn in my own world. Like I get it. You're a marketing person. You got to be friend. But I'm an artist. Like fuck, we're artists, dude. Like we're not supposed to be the center of attention. Like I know YouTube has been teaching everyone bad manners as far as being an artist, like unrealistic expectations. Like it's not actually the way it is.
Yeah, artists. Some people will think that, man, you must be super popular, and it's just like, actually, I sit alone in my house and draw all day. My only time I'm kind of popular is when I go to a comic convention and people go, "Hey, you draw that cool stuff on the internet."
Yeah, I used to put that, as seen on TV. I made as seen on the internet, like the same
Oh,
TV logo right on there, right? Like, what do
yeah,
you
I've
do?
seen them.
That the internet. Oh, well,
I work on the internet.
you're gonna be big someday. I'm like, nope, just on the internet.
Only on the internet. Let's see. Well, what do you think so far, Rob? I'm still rendering some stuff out here. I'll turn off the sketchy layer.
Yeah, it's cool. I think right now you could probably just like really focus on a singular light source, just to kind of draw the attention down to the ship. You know,
Yeah, I'm just finishing up shading these other like mountain stuff back here. Mountain
I'd
stuff.
fill the whole thing like with black, set it to 40% on like a overlay or a multiply, and
Mm-hmm.
then just cut in the light source. You know what I mean? Create some
Let's see.
drama. Like watch, just fill it in with black, set
Oh,
it
oops,
down to
that's
like
not black. This is black. Put it to what saturation?
overlay or multiply, whatever you want. Yeah.
Overlay.
Then set it to like 60% or 40%. Whatever looks better. 60 is pretty good. And then now in a mask, just mask out. Just create the light source. Instead
In
of
a mask.
creating all the shadows, pop in the light source. Like go in the mask. Turn on a mask.
Which one is the mask?
It's that one down there. Looks like a little square with a white dot in it.
Oh, okay. Yep, mask.
And then now, using white, cut in the light source just broadly.
All right, I'll probably use my airbrush. And where the heck? Why is it not?
Well, because you're set to white, you're trying to gotta hit X and go to
Oh,
black.
okay, there you go. Oh yeah, that's right. That's how you were doing it. Here, let's see. I think the light source should probably be coming from a little more up here. How's that?
Yeah, well, just like and then start to like on the surfaces if it's being lit
Oh,
from the top, start to actually just with the hard brush or whatever else. Sometimes it's easier with the hard brush and you can blend the edges. Just go and start, you know, knocking them in. Yeah, just lighting it. So you got the good shadows. You got, you can always use a 50% to blend between the two. This
yeah.
way you're actually building up a light source.
Let's see.
And remember, you're going to be using color. If you use gradient maps, not all these blacks are going to go pure black. There's going to be darker parts of colors. That's why you really want to focus on what the focus is.
Yeah. Let's see.
All right.
Well, I've managed to do a painting, or at least this much of a painting, in an hour. All right, let's see. Oh, you know what? I'm an idiot.
So obviously the water around the ship's going to be a little lighter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, whoops. I gotta remember that the water spreads out, like outward, kind of a V shape. So.
And you can paint that under your shade, dude. You know, you don't have to paint on top and keep adding more shade.
Oh, is this all shaded stuff? This white stuff?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the idea is that you want to create a world light, So if you have water spray, that's going to be affected by the world light, right? So you just put that underneath the black.
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. Hey Rob, do you have Periscope?
Yeah.
Nice. What was it? Todd McFarlane just did a Periscope where he was answering a bunch of questions. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
that's cool.
then and then Todd Knock just did a Periscope a little bit ago. I'm drawing Iceman. That's one thing I love about Periscope, and that's that you can just be able to chat with the artist while they draw. I thought that was super cool when I started seeing like Eric Canetti and Todd Knox start doing their Periscopes. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Do you follow Eric Canetti's work?
I know of his work. I don't follow it, but yeah, used to be a Wildstorm back in the day. He's on a lot of Marvel stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, well, mainly right now he's doing what is it? His Run Love Kill book, and right now he works for Riot Games,
Oh,
doing
nice.
stuff on League of Legends.
Right.
Is that something you would do? Like ever work for like one of those bigger gaming companies?
Would I work? Sure. Will I work? I don't know. You assume they want me, man. There's so much talent out there, you know? Like,
All right, so that's pretty much light sourced out, I guess. Now, do I do another layer over that, fill it black, and then do the gradient
yeah,
maps?
well, no. So with the gradient maps, you'd hit saturation after that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, on this same layer?
No. You fill it with black and hit saturation.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
that's actually how I color. I just fill it with black saturation, do all my grayscale underneath. So just in case I accidentally have color in it, I don't see it.
All
I
right,
would think
let's
that
see.
yeah, probably like the water's a little too crushed. If you think of if there's a global light source, like the water behind them would be a little lighter,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So
Maybe
like,
I'll highlight that real quick before
yeah.
I start on that. I'll use my airbrush to do that. I'll select the water.
I don't like that.
What is happening? No. Oh my God. There we go. Oh wait, and then we should probably do this. This would make sense, right? Oh, Rob,
1 second.
the little bridge thing.
Yeah. The bridge would knock it out, so you gotta be
Oh.
careful. And you probably see the reflection of whatever's causing that light. If it's the moon,
Mm-hmm.
probably in the water somewhere. You know, that's where
Yeah.
you really want to think about the light. Yeah, and it sure beats having to do that while you're mixing color too.
Yeah. I'll probably definitely add that like if I do any other brush and color stuff. Let's see. Alrighty, now we can start doing the gradient map stuff. Let's see. Oh, whoops. Wrong thing. Oh. Did I do something wrong? I set it to saturation. Where's the gradient map?
Well, now
now I have to click
you
gradient
have
map.
to actually make a gradient map.
Yeah. I was like, what have I done? Oh.
So it defaults to black and white. So first you want to do is when you create a gradient map, is it's going to select the mask of the gradient map. You want to actually click the gradient map part. So it's selecting the mask. So actually click on the little circle piece.
Okay.
No, right there. Yeah. Click that. Otherwise, when you sample colors, it's all going to be values, black and white. So now you can make one for the rocks, the water, the light source, and blend between all the stuff. You know.
Yeah. Do I just select the certain area? Like, can I actually just go in and select like the sky?
You can use your flats if you already have them, or just manually paint them in. Yeah, use lassos. It's a mask. You just mask it in. So I like to turn off the mask and then paint in, as I'm doing here. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. I guess I'll mainly just use deselect because I'm trying to get the sky first. Oh my gosh. Don't want a clipping mask. Just want to deselect the sky. Let's see. Oh, let's see this first. I guess that lighting wouldn't make sense. There something like that. I'm just saying I'm testing the gradient to see what I want.
Right.
Okay, so we've basically here. I'll just select a singular color so I can.
Actually, here's the thing, dude. Like, how are you doing that?
I was flatting that background so that way I could select the background.
I got you.
It doesn't matter if it's a color.
You just want to make sure it's not visible, otherwise it's going to affect the value.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, now we got the background, and all I need to do really is select, like, okay, if I want to select these rocks. So click on the gradient map, I guess, for that. And
we'll delete the mask.
Oh yeah.
And make a new mask. Delete the gradient map mask. No, delete. No, you delete the gradient. Delete the mask while you have it selected. You know how to make a mask?
Oh, no, I do not.
Watch really simple. Watch my screen, right?
Yep.
So let's say I want to make a mask right here. This is my gradient layer, right? Brown, right?
Yep.
So if you're selecting something, like right there, I want that to be brown. It doesn't have a mask. I hit the mask button, it masks it.
Okay.
Once you're selected in there, whatever you paint white is positive, black is negative, and gray is in between. Catch my drift?
Yeah.
Masks are seen as positive and negative values to Photoshop.
Yeah, so can you actually like drag, because like the way it looks on your computer, like it looks like the gradient map, like right here and this are separate.
The mask.
Is the mask the white thing?
Right now, your gradient map defaults to black and white, right? So you have to actually, to make a color, right?
Yeah, okay.
You double click on the little circle item to open up the gradient maps.
Okay.
Double click on that. And that window should pop open where the gradient is. I can't see it.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I have no idea why it's not showing it.
Oh.
Well,
Probably a Mac, and you're on a Mac, right?
Yeah.
Probably the Macs render overlay layers.
Let's see. I'm gonna make a gradient here real quick and see. Oh my gosh, no, it's not. So if I wanted to just go to this selection, gradient map this selection.
Easiest way to do it is just delete the mask. Right now, everything's being seen. Delete the mask. Just right click on the mask and delete it. Like right that little white box right there, right? Just right click on it.
There we go.
And then make a new mask while it's being selected. Just go click the mask button now.
All right. Okay, there we go.
See what I'm saying? Like whatever is selected when you make a mask will make that into a mask.
Okay.
You catch my drift?
Yep. Now I'm seeing what I was doing wrong.
Yeah. So you don't. That way, you make your selections. It'll automatically make a mask. But what happens is when you create a gradient map, it automatically creates a mask. It automatically selects the mask. So you want to off-click the mask so you can adjust the gradient layer, right?
Yeah.
And then if you need to delete that mask and mask in your own, you see what I'm saying? Like it's a little backwards.
Yeah. Oh crap! And that's what I did wrong. Whoops. Here we go. Now, because I got to deselect the areas I don't want in there, such as the ship. I don't want the ship in there. So let's get rid of those areas. There we go. That works out much better. Oh, here. Okay, now I can delete the mask and then make a mask. And now to do the gradient map.
Right.
I kind of maybe want like icy area.
And you probably want to have a gradient map just for the water, since the reflection, you got the reflection dipping into the ocean down there,
Yeah.
So what I like to do, dude, is when you set it to normal, that's one way to do it. You can switch it to color, and that'll keep your white highlights and your darks in there. And then if you want to bring more color into it, you can always, like, I like to make a color layer, and then I'll duplicate that gradient map and set it to pin light or darken color, and turn that down like 50%, just so I get a little color in my whites.
Yeah.
And then I'll group those into a folder, and that's my gradient map swatch. So you can create some contrast with your color. You could duplicate it and set it to overlay too. I mean, however you want to do it,
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Wrong freaking thing. Don't want this one. This is the one I want to delete. There. Gosh. So annoying. I want this a certain way. There we go. I guess that's something right now.
Let me see 1 second.
But I don't know if I still want it like that. I'm trying to figure out what I want this like.
See, think about it this way. Think about it this way, right?
Yeah.
Is think of the global light as one thing you're going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Think of the rocks as their own color, the water as its own color. You can always turn opacities down, throw the global light in, and add in tinting, right? It just depends on how you want to do it. You know, like in case in point, how do I explain? It's like this thing right here is a sky, right?
Mm-hmm.
This orange to red color. Then I have regular grass and a teal green, you know, color range. I figured those colors out by just manually throwing them together, and then I broke the gradient maps down by what I need and blended them together in the masks. Catch my drift?
Yeah.
And so if I wanted more water, I just painted the blue water on top. You know, like I didn't actually draw that in the black and white. I painted that color in on top of that. So you can create, let's say you want to have like two kinds of bush colors, like you want a dark green bush and a brown bush color. You can make those separate gradient maps and then just sketch them in color, the bushes. Catch my drift?
Yeah.
Rocks. Now turn that layer setting right there to color. All
All
right.
right. Set to color.
So it'll retain the dark blacks, the shadows. See what I mean? And then
Yeah,
if it's
I'm
a little
seeing
washed
that.
out, you can always like the white. Sometimes the thing about the color is, if it's set to color, you can paint colors on top of it, and it won't affect. It won't be a problem. So if you want to fill those white edges in with color, just duplicate. Right. So duplicate. Just hit Control J or Command J.
Command J.
So
Duplicate.
I duplicated. Now set that layer to pin light.
All right. Pin light.
Try darker color.
On the gradient map?
No. Try that.
Oh,
Instead of pin light, switch it to darker color.
oh, okay. Where's the darker color?
It's dark and darker color. It's darker color. It's under dot or burn, linear burn.
Oh, okay. There we go. Darker color.
And so the white, see, like you can see you didn't mask in the rocks completely right there.
Yeah.
So what I would do is select that mask, right? Select the mask, control click it. Now shift click those two together and turn that into a group, a folder.
Mm-hmm.
So turn that into a group and now hit the mask. No.
I was just dragging them up into the group because I created the group.
Now you got that mask, you got that selection. So select the group,
All
the
right.
group folder, and make a mask out of that. Just hit the mask button and delete your older masks. Delete. No. You deleted the gradient mask.
Whoops.
Just delete the mask. Delete, just right click delete mask. And delete the one underneath, the mask underneath it. So now you're going to paint in the mask for the group.
Okay.
See what I mean? So you can go and add white to those edges right there and get that rocky color back in. So those little white edges you have in, that should be like cream, right?
Yeah.
See? And if it's too saturated, if the whites are too saturated on that darkened color map right there, set it down to like 50%.
Yeah. I mean, they're not too saturated, but
it's just preference.
Looks much better. Yeah.
Now, the reason why I do this, right, is because now you can paint, once the color, if it's set to color, anything that's set to color above it will recolor on top. You don't have to put these in specific orders. If you have to set it to normal, then you have to make sure you paint them in specific orders. You understand what I'm saying? Let's say you wanted to add green bushes onto those rocks as is, right? If it's set to color, not a problem. If it's set to normal, you can't ever like paint on top of that with the color layer again. It'll affect the way Photoshop sees it. Catch my drift?
Yeah.
You'll get the hang of it, dude.
Yeah. Remember,
see, now you get all those, see all those strokes now you get to keep?
Yeah.
Right? In the rocks.
Much better.
All that, that's gravy, bro. That's the fucking gravy right there, man. Like, that's the shit people go, oh, I love the texture. You're like, I didn't even try, like I did less than what I normally do. Like,
I just did what Rob was telling me, and then all of a sudden magic
Batman
was
looks so
happening.
pretty. Look at all your colors. Look how you blended all those colors together. And then, Joe Schmo, new artist, is going to go in there and try to fucking manually paint all those shades of brown together and spend 10 years. Like, poor kid, you know?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, like, still, like, it's still super new to me. So, like, because for me, also, like, just know this, Rob. I'm not like super knowing. Like, when you say the masks or whatever, like, sometimes I'll be like, because
If you
I
don't know
don't
it,
work
just
that
let me
way.
know. No, if you don't know, let me know. I have no problem explaining it. But yeah, please don't pretend. Yeah, I think I just hey, you don't know, you don't know. I'll show you what it is. I'm like, do you even know what that is? You don't have to know. I'm not clowning you. You don't know. Ha, ha, you suck. You know,
Joey, quit
I've been in
pretending
those
you
art
know
departments,
things.
by the way. Oh yeah, believe me. You don't know what the path tool is, and then they look at you. I thought you were good. Like I got that. I'm like, well, yeah, you hired me, so like, oh, I'm fucked. Like, I gotta figure this out as soon as I get home. You know, working on my own comic didn't happen that night because I had to figure out this shit so my art director didn't clown the crap out of me. You know.
Amen. Let's see. All right, we're gonna create that mask of that, and then we can turn this to saturation. Read the gradient map. No, wrong, Joey. Good Lord.
Let me see.
No, what I had done wrong. Do I need to keep making that black over it every time, or no?
No. The black just means anything underneath it is going to be seen in black and white, bro. So
Okay.
that's all you're doing. Once you make that saturation layer, you can just group all those things together into a black and white folder, and then put all your gradient maps in a gradient map folder. Make sure you name these gradient maps so you know those are rocks. By the way, where it says Group
Yep.
3 or whatever, name those rocks. You'll forget.
Rocks. Rocks.
So now you can take that folder, put it in its own Photoshop file, delete the mask, and now you have your rock saved.
Oh, nice.
See what I'm saying? So next time you go to paint rocks, guess what? You already what kind of rocks you want. You already got it saved. You don't have to figure these things out again and again and again, bro.
Let's see. All right,
So now you want to actually this time instead of doing that, right? You can just group first and then make a mask out of the group, and inside that group place your gradient map. So hit Control G, or yeah,
Yep.
and then mask it, and then inside there, just right now, just create a new gradient map,
All right.
and then delete that mask because you don't need a mask on there.
Yep.
No,
oh
no,
my
no.
gosh. I
Delete the
clicked.
mask.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that you
I
don't.
know. Get button. Click
Yeah.
crazy. All right. And so now you can go in there. And so what it's doing is it's picking. It automatically puts the background color to the left and the foreground color to the right, or one way. So you just gotta
Yeah.
I always try to keep it consistent. Keep the darks on the left and the brights on the right when you're in the gradient map selection.
Yeah, I
And
don't
so
know why it did that.
well, because it was selecting your colors that are in
Oh,
your
okay.
foreground background layer.
Yeah. And can I, like, here's one of the other things I was wondering about. Okay, so do I have to keep selecting these areas, or can I just erase that area? Like, if I
You can
don't
fill the
want
whole
to.
thing up, turn the mask off, and just paint in what you want. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
selected. It depends on how you want to do it.
Well, I mean, like, okay, so for example, since this is all gradient mapped right here
Mm-hmm.
on the ship, can I go in, like, say, I don't want the windshield gradient mapped and just erase that with the eraser tool?
Yeah, right in the mask.
Uh-huh.
Just go inside the mask, the
Yeah.
group mask. Go inside the mask, and then with black, just paint it out.
Oh, okay. See,
Yeah,
that's what I was really wondering. I was like,
the masks aren't. They're not forever. You paint in them. You're painting in what you see and don't see. So how you're blending the color is just adding 50% of something, or 100% black, or 50% black. You see what I mean?
yeah. I'm learning new things. Look at this. Ladies and gentlemen, Rob has taught Joey a new skill that he
Yeah.
is still sucking at.
Someday when Joey's rich and famous, he can hire Rob. Pay it back.
I will.
Building the little SketchCraft army, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Step by step. But you could see, dude, like.
Well, remember I told you a while ago, I was like, dude, if I had the money, I would so throw it your way.
But here's what I'm trying to say, right? Like you have favorite colors, and as you start to go through this, you can just save all these, you know?
Yeah.
And then all you're doing at that point is dropping in your base gradients into stuff, and then um, blending in between those to create your base map, and then painting on top of that, right? So
Yeah.
you want to get all these to get everything blocked in. So you can get everything blocked in. Let's say down to world lights. Like if you really wanted it super, like let's say in the shadow area, you wanted it super moon night color. You know what I mean? You just
Yeah.
make a moon night color and paint that in that area, and then the other part could have like a different lighting source. You catch my drift?
Yeah.
So that's what I was doing with your cover,
Yeah.
Or you could have a global light that you create on top of all this with the base gradient map, and then just airbrush it in as a color, right, into areas to paint that world light into stuff. Turn the opacity down to like 20% or something like that.
Quiet, Ruby.
So now, when you're at work and they say we don't like that shit being green, we want it to be fucking, black and orange. Guess what? All you have to do.
Go into the freaking gradient maps and switch it.
See how easy that is? You're like, boom, gradient map, motherfucker. Go to sleep. They don't have to know what you're doing if you're working at home.
But wait, I was just showing you.
And hey, let's say you're working at home. They don't know how long that takes, right? They might think that's doing the hard way. So you got hours to kill.
Mm-hmm.
You go work on Terra, right? Get back to them in an hour. Like, hey, I made the changes.
Yeah, that would be nice, Yeah.
So you can see when it's set to color, it keeps white. So to fill that white in back with the color, right? And to keep it so you can always paint on top, just duplicate that and set it to darken color.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet though. Like, cause I'm liking how it's starting to come out. Cause I wanted this ship to kind of have like more whitish wings. That's why I was kind of going and messing around with that. Gotta keep that going. Oh no, I don't want to. I hate it when it sometimes will create a new gradient color in there, and I'm just like, I did not want that.
You just duplicate the one you made. That's why. Just add Control J or Command J.
Yeah, I'm
deleting the masks that are in the groups. You don't want your gradient layers to have extra masks on top of it.
There we go.
It's gonna add file sizes.
Yeah, there we go.
Because you're what you're doing in that. The reason why you've grouped them is so you can add a color and a darken color or multiple, right? You can add, that kind of contrast that you want, and then you're just painting the group out. Masks, man.
Yeah. Again, it's still like such a new process to me. I might try more doing it for digital painting stuff because like I want to do more digital painting for when I do concept stuff for Terra, obviously.
Well, even with cuts and grads, it's super easy because your cuts and grads are just black and white. And how many skin tones do you actually use? Like 2? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you see what I'm saying, dude? You just cut your fucking work in half, bro.
Yeah, here actually I think I can I'll show you a page I actually recently finished. Let me find the file here. No, don't want to reopen that. This was a page I recently finished for the book Conquer. So I got some snow going on in there. He's on his phone sitting on a tank. This is like a sequence where like all these people are getting ready to come together in another big, like in a big splash page in the next page, which I got to draw.
So here's how easy your coloring is. The neon sign, purple to blue, 1 gradient map. Red to gold, 1 gradient map. Green to whatever, 1 gradient map. Your color scheme in the background is purple to red, and your foreground color is 1 gradient map. And you're just airbrushing between the 2. I mean, you use the base flats and you just airbrush to blend them, and you're done. You know, and let's say like on that, like zoom out really quick,
On the where?
right?
Were you screen capping?
Yeah. So like right down here, you know, let's say he who's coming towards these lights, gradient map. Flip this around, need more contrast. Anytime you select from an image, it creates less contrast.
Yeah. Are you just airbrushing that in?
Just airbrush it in. You know, it's a little darkish. So let me go back. Set back to normal. No. See, the problem is I don't have the original file, so it's
Yeah, no problem. But yeah,
if
this
you
was
go
a pretty fun page to work on.
just go right underneath it, hit white. Okay.
And then just keep painting through
You
it.
could be like, oh look, you know.
Yeah. Let's see, the thing is, she's not in that area.
Yeah, I get that. I'm just saying.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
She's gonna be underlit by something.
That is true.
So what you're really talking about is, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 gradient maps. You know, and then you're not doing this. You're not over here manually coming over here and trying to get these perfect, you know. When whatever gets on top, you go right in and you just go, oh, okay, cool. You go here and paint in colors and you just select and then probably help if it would stop going.
Yeah. Well, this right here, the lighting right here, that was well, let's see, where are you? Oh yeah, I picked a kind of a yellow and then just used color dodge over here on the tank. And I like using color dodge because of that effect it can give. Like,
Yeah, it enhances.
yeah.
What I'm trying to say is base blends and stuff, dude, it's pointless. Just spending time. I use the dodges to increase. It's called light sourcing.
Yeah.
To
I mean, it
increase like
doesn't
the
take
light
me
source.
like honestly, it doesn't take me that long. It's mainly just flattening the image, making sure all those colors are in their proper selections. That is the part that takes the longest, and that's why I'm probably
You
gonna
pay
end up
someone else
hiring.
to do that.
Yep, that's why I'm gonna hire a flatter here soon. Like for the next page I do, I'm gonna be like, I'm paying a flatter to flat this, so that would be nice. And then while they're doing that, I can be working on the other page. So that way I can just get the flats and then all I have to do is just freaking render it and then it's done. And letter it, obviously, after that. I've had to do a lot of, I've had
Yeah,
to
but
do
you
all the
use it to
lettering.
where they just take the flats. You teach them how to do gradient maps, and they just drop your gradient maps in there. Then all you do is take the thing and do all the cool blending. All this, you know, all those changes you were making for your colorist. Yeah, you would just be doing that on your own.
Yeah, trust me, like if I could actually have somebody else color this, that'd be nice too. But again, having a nice paycheck is still pretty nice at the end of the day. Oh man. All right, Rob. I am like super tired right now. I'm probably gonna go to bed. It's 1:27 here.
Sure.
And let's see. Um, I'll probably be back on tomorrow because I gotta do my layout digitally. So I might be on and doing that. We could chat then too.
Sure. I'll be here.
Awesome. All right. Thanks for chatting, Rob.
Anytime, bro.
All right. See you later.
For
Take
hanging
it
out.
easy.
Later. Bye. I really shouldn't be talking to people while I do this. All right. This is not the way I wanted to do it. Hmm. I don't know. I'm not feeling any of that. Hmm. Back to formula. Hmm. All right, I need to actually go grab some reference because I've never done this before, so this is gonna be new. Start this over again. Hmm. This is not it. None of this is right. None of this is right. This is not it. This has been a colossal waste of time. How can I do this? That's not what the play's supposed to look like at all. I don't even know why I went down that path. All right, so we'll just start over. You know, fuck it. Right over. Hey. What's the problem? Why can't I paint? Dude, what is going on? Why can't I paint? What? Oh, it's turned off, that's why. You know, folks, sometimes I just don't know. So chalk up tonight to a big loss. I'll figure this out. Gotta go back.